Hey y'all, my name is Nakaya Beeman and I am your teacher friend. So I have created this series of teacher interview questions that is part mock interview and part tips and kind of tricks to answer the questions. So how this works is I'm going to give you a question. You're going to pause the video and then answer the question so you can take as much time as you need to. And then afterwards, when you press unpause, I'll be giving feedback on how to answer these questions through my own interpretations. Now, it can be flexible. You can interpret these questions and answer these questions in any way you want to. I'm not giving a blanketed way to interpret questions. However, this is just some tips, especially if you're a first year teacher, on how to get this thing done. So, you ready? I promise you got this. Let's do it. So, my first question for you. Oh, by the way, my name is Nakaya Beeman, and I am the principal here at Ultra Megam Awesome Middle School. And I have you down here to interview for one of our seventh grade positions. So, how about we jump into it, right? Cool. So, first question. Tell a time where you had conflict with an colleague, and how did you guys resolve that conflict? So this question can be tricky if you've never been in the educational system. However, if you do have some work history, you can use this in any fashion with any one of your former coworkers that you've had. So I respond to this by giving the scenario, whatever the scenario may be, where your stance was, where their stance was, and then how you both proceeded through. Hopefully, the solution was a compromise where everybody collaborated. There was a clear sense of who was doing what, things like that. Those are the things that you want to show that you're collaborative or that you're a leader, that you know how to compromise and see things through, if you know how to communicate well. Those are some things you might want to mention in that process. Hope that helped. My next question for you is, how do you build relationships with students? So with a question like this, you want to talk about strategies. So you might look those up online. You might think about your old school experience and how you built relationships with the people around you or with your colleagues, things like that. Overall, you want to communicate a way that shows that you can engage with students in their time of need. You want to show that you know some socially emotional learning strategies. SEL has been really big this year, especially because a lot of school funding has been tied to implementing SEL in a hard time like this. So look up some SEL strategies that you can use. It also shows your innovation as a teacher. So can you come up with things that are engaging to the students, that kind of show pieces of yourself in a vulnerable way without being too vulnerable, too personal. And also that you have an accurate way of gauging where a student is. So if they ask you how little Mary was feeling last Friday, you will know. Or if anything they have going on at home, you will know. And you don't ever want to be the last person to know. So this is a good thing to think about, not just as an interview question, but as you head into your school year of teaching. Hope that helps. My next question for you is, if I could coach you on anything, what would it be? So with a question like this, my strategy to go to is to think of one of my weaknesses, right? So personally, one of my weaknesses is parental contact and documentation for that, because it's just exhausting. So you want to say, I want to be coached on whatever weaknesses this is and how it translates into the classroom. So for me, I want to be coached on parental contacts and documentation. I want to see some different strategies, how some other teachers might be doing it, some best practices that are backed by research, things like that that show that you're honest about where you are, but you also know what you need. Like, yes, I have issues with parental contact, but I do know some things that can be done to show me directly what I need to do. So I need to see other teachers and what they're doing in their classroom. I need to have some resources and the okay to use some resources that make me comfortable, and make that process more seamless. So, again, a solutions oriented approach. My next question for you is, what are one of your strengths and weaknesses? So, with a question like this, of course, it's the universal question that's asked practically on every interview. You want to use things that are truthful and authentic to yourself. You want to list things that you can show growth in, definitely. Also, you want to, as far as weaknesses go, you can word them in a way that shows that they're not detrimental to your work ethic or detrimental to your job in a bad way. So instead of saying I can be lazy sometimes, say sometimes I have difficulty self-starting, but a good team member will always help me with that. It's the difference in how you word that, right? So think about the wording of your weaknesses. It's okay to have weaknesses, but think about the appropriate wording for your weakness. Yeah. My next question for you is, when was the last time, or when was a time that you gave an innovative lesson? So a question like this, if you're a first year teacher, again, you're gonna have a hard time. So how do you recover from something like this? Um, if you're a vet teacher, of course, you can probably think of a time where a lesson went incredibly well. However, when you think of innovation, I need you to really think about innovation and what innovation means, right? So, innovation might mean you used a different medium to teach that might not have been used before. You used a lot of technology. Your project was a menu instead of a foldable, like things like that that makes things a little bit more applicable to real world. So instead of saying I had them do a trifold board, you had them design a newsletter or flyer. Instead of saying I had them do a booklet, I had them make their own comic strip. So things like that show innovation, different from the archaic way of teaching. So don't just give a good lesson, give an innovative lesson, something different, something refreshing, something new. For first year teachers, you want to think about some things that you want to do in class that are innovative. So this is your time to take up all those bottled up ideas and translate them into this question. And that is how you do it. If you don't have any innovative lessons that you know of, do your homework. Pinterest is a great way. YouTube is a great way to look at some lessons. Teacher pay teachers. If you want to go and look at some different lessons that teachers are doing that are innovative, go and look, go and see, go and try to conjure up some ideas. So when you're hit with a question like this, you will know what to do. So that's all, you guys, for this session. Hopefully it helped. Hopefully you did really well with your questions. Hopefully I gave you some tips to add to your wonderful answers, I'm sure. This is Nakaya, your teacher friend. Please like and subscribe for more content because I have another video in this series coming. And make sure you have happy teaching.